Hi, welcome to the Light of Deception. Today I'm going to be doing the fourth point in the series of under isms. We're right now starting with socialisms, which you would find on my site under Sounds Good, Is It? And we're going to be talking about social justice, the social gospel, social change agents, and Christian socialism. Now, the first segment was out there, the introduction that's already out there under the isms as related to deception. The second thing I talked about was social justice. That one's out there as well. What is social justice? And then the social gospel, how it relates to socialism. Then after that, I have social change agents as related to socialism as well. This one's going to be called Christian socialism. I'm going to start off with the article, and go ahead and please be patient with me. I'm going to really work on articulation and slowing down the read and making sure that it's concise and you guys can really understand what's going on here. It's a lot of information, and I'm going to go ahead and start that now. So the title of this article is going to be Social Gospel, Social Justice, and Christian Socialism. This comes from Theopedia. Okay, Social Gospel. There's going to be some repetitive things in here because we've already covered social justice and social change agents and the social gospel, but this is going to include the Christian socialist. Here we go. The social gospel refers to the emphasis of a primarily Protestant movement in the late 19th centuries and early 20th century to apply Christian principles to social programs. Being part of the modernist trend with a strong emphasis on social justice, the movement is a rival to evangelical and fundamentalist Christianity. Members of the movement see it as a return to the beginning of Christianity. That is the message of Jesus. In the United States, prior to World War I, the social gospel was a religious wing of the Protestant movement, which had the aim of combating injustice, suffering, and poverty in the society. In this context, it is seen as having provided the philosophical underpinning of the New Deal. After the war, the movement shifted its focus to the civil rights arena and later became outspoken in its opposition to the Vietnam War. With the ascendancy of the Christian right beginning in the 1980s, the social gospel agenda declined in the United States, but examples of its continued existence can still be found, notably the organization known as the Call to Renewal, sometimes seen as a branch of Christian socialism. The gospel movement was especially influential in Canada and led many ministries to become active in the socialist movement in the form of the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation and later the New Democratic Party. It was reflected in a noble in its steps that was written by the Congregational ministry Charles Sheldon, who coined the motto, "What would Jesus do?" Sheldon was committed to Christian socialism and identified with the social gospel. One of the early theologians of the social gospel was Walter Rosenbusch, and he indicated how Sheldon's novel inspired his theology. Social gospel is still influential in Canada, United Church and in the Anglican Church, but has less influence in the United States. It also remains influential among the Christian Socialist circle in Britain, in the Church of England, Methodists, and some of the Calvinist movements. Both Catholicism and liberal theology both have similarities to the social gospel. In the Anglican Church, the social gospel has found impressions of Pacificism. So we're going to pick up from there. There's a lot more to read, but I think this is a really good start. So what does Christianity have to do with socialism? Socialism is an overthrow of capitalism. So a lot of the youth, young adults, teens and young adults are really focused on maybe a turnover from capitalism, but it didn't just start here. It started a long time ago when the curriculum was coming into not only the public school system, but into the private school sector as well, and even to the Christian seminary schools. I know it's shocking, but not all Christians run the seminary schools. There's some out there that just have an agenda. That agenda is moving towards Marxism, socialism, and eventually communism and dictatorship. The sad thing is Christian socialists think they're really doing a great job at even wealth across the, not just across the United States, but globally. They're going to feed the poor. They're going to be advocates for a green world, and all these things sound so wonderful, and we're all going to link hands together, and we're going to have some interfaith dialogue. We're also going to stand side by side with those that have no faith or worship the world or whatever they're, because you're going to worship something, if it's going to be yourself or the God of this world, and you're going to be doing planetary work, and you're going to be worshiping like Earth Day and different things like that. And it sounds really great, but the Bible does teach if you do not work, you don't eat, right? So there's going to be some people that are working for everything they get, and their money is going to just be distributed across mankind, and there's going to be those that don't work. So where's the middle ground? And also on top of that, it doesn't really work. Well, there's going to be those who run it, so they're going to be hierarchy, right? So they're going to be the elect. I think that's in the Christian standpoint instead of the elite. So the elect and the elite will come together, and there'll be those who tell everybody what they're supposed to, how much money they're supposed to have, how much they're going to be taxed, maybe up to 70%, right? Can you live on being taxed 70%? Because how are you going to get free education and free medical if you're not going to be taking it from the people? The saddest thing is a capitalist, if you see what's going on here in the United States of America, how it's actually put people into work, it actually has been pretty good overall for the years that we've been under the capitalism, right? And socialism, if you see it in other parts of the world, sad. Look at Venezuela, used to be super rich, and look at the people eating out of trash cans, because there's the elite, right? And then there's no middle ground anymore, so no middle class anymore, and then there's just poor. I'm talking, we don't even know what poor is in the United States of America. If you say you're poor and you own a TV, or if you have a car, if you have a cell phone, if you are calling yourself poor and you live in a place that's bigger than most places that even have money in this world, they have smaller spaces, right? I want you to look at China, look at North Korea, look at Russia, and think to yourself, do you want the world to fall under a dictatorship where there's a hierarchy and the rest of everybody else has to be quiet? Now, they might use your agenda to get their goal met. So they might have people, agendas turning against each other, and they're going to be having chaos in the streets, and there's going to be people that are advocates that could be such an advocate that you're actually willing to harm somebody to get your goal to pass and to overthrow capitalism. And that would be the conservative people, Christianity, and definitely the Jewish people. So there's going to be a real sad, I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, if not sooner. It looks like this is going to take root here in the United States, and when the United States falls, we all fall. So I want you to really look at the history, look at the background, see how socialism has been across the spectrum. And Christians, if we are perfect people and living in a perfect world, maybe even distribution of wealth might work. But since this mankind is essentially evil, right? Who can know the heart, right? So it's desperately wicked, who can know it? And that's a biblical aspect, and it definitely need to be working if you want to eat. And there is special circumstances around the world. Of course, we're supposed to be good stewards of what God has given to us, but it doesn't say that we usher in some kind of global utopia. Get into eschatology, see what the end times looks like. Make sure you're reading chapter by chapter, verse by verse, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, so you understand the times we're living in. I hope this helps you stay out of the light of deception. Thank you. Until next time.